There are stories in the world of trading that sound more like legend than reality. Numbers that defy imagination, victories carved out of chaos, and a destiny that feels at once inevitable and tragic. One such story begins not with Wall Street or high-rise offices, but with a young man who dared to bet everything he owned on a single trade. That decision would change the course of his life forever. Michael Marcus was born in Providence, Rhode Island, into a Jewish family with humble yet respectable roots. His father wore the robes of justice as a judge, while his mother shaped young minds as a teacher. A household steeped in intellect and discipline, it provided Marcus with both a sharp mind and a sense of purpose. By the time he reached Johns Hopkins University, his brilliance was undeniable. Graduating Phi Beta Kappa in 1969, he seemed destined for an academic life. He even pursued graduate studies in psychology at Clark University, curious about the workings of the human mind. Yet fate had no intention of letting him remain in the quiet halls of academia. The year was 1972. Marcus scraped together his entire life savings, $7,000, and placed it into plywood futures. It was a daring, almost reckless decision, born partly from the promise of a colleague who claimed he could double his money. Few could have predicted that a stroke of history itself would intervene. When President Richard Nixon imposed a freeze on commodity prices, most investors braced for disaster. But the plywood market rallied against the odds. Marcus's modest $7,000 quickly grew to $12,000. It was the first spark of a fire that would one day burn brighter than he or anyone else could imagine. Momentum built quickly. By 1973, Marcus transformed $24,000 into $64,000. His trades were bold, his timing uncanny, and his growing fortune drew whispers in trading circles. He wasn't just playing the game, he was rewriting it. The truth, however, was that Marcus wasn't relying solely on instinct. He studied charts like they were maps to hidden treasure, read fundamentals like a detective searching for clues, and observed market behavior with the patience of a scientist. The mix of psychology, analysis, and sheer nerve became his secret formula. At this critical juncture, Marcus met a man who would alter the trajectory of his life, Ed Seykota. Seykota, already a legend in the making, was pioneering computerized trading systems when most still scribbled notes by hand. To Marcus, Seykota wasn't just a mentor, he was a revelation. Seykota taught him the sacred art of money management, of controlling risk when others lost themselves in greed. Marcus later called Seykota a genius, crediting him with showing him how discipline, not just daring, could create long-term wealth. This mentorship armed Marcus with tools that would carry him through both triumph and turmoil. The years that followed marked an ascent few could rival. Marcus turned a modest starting pool into staggering wealth, ultimately growing $30,000 into an empire worth $80 million over 2 decades. His journey led him to become executive vice president at Commodities Corporation, where his decisions shaped markets and influenced traders across the globe. But Marcus was not merely a trader of commodities. He was an adventurer at heart. Through his holding company, Mark Trading Company, he ventured into small company stocks, investing in obscure names on the OTC bulletin board and pink sheets. Companies like Prospector Consolidated Resources and Encore Clean Energy found backing from him, showing that his eye for opportunity extended far beyond the trading floor. So, success never erased Marcus's human side. He was a devoted father to 2 sons, Aubrey, originally named Christopher, and Will. They were the quiet anchors in a life otherwise defined by flashing numbers and high-stakes bets. He was also a man of spiritual curiosity. For a period, he followed Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, delving into meditation and transcendental practices. It was as though Marcus was forever searching, not only for profits in the markets, but also for meaning beyond them. The trading world eventually recognized Marcus as more than just successful. He was iconic. Jack Schwager featured him in the famous book, Market Wizards, where Marcus shared candid insights into courage, risk, and strategy. He explained that to succeed, one had to ask whether the market had already priced in an idea, whether the supposed secret was truly a secret at all. Thomas Bass, in The Predictors, briefly painted Marcus as a chartist focused on resistance levels, capturing his technical bent. Meanwhile, companies valued his wisdom. He was elected to the board of Virex Medical Corp, a biotech firm working on cutting-edge immunotherapies, underscoring his influence even outside the financial world. But even legends stumble when the world shifts under their feet. As the new millennium approached, trading entered an era dominated by advanced computers and evolving technology. For Marcus, who had thrived on his unique blend of intuition and analysis, the ground grew less stable. His methods struggled to keep pace with the new systems reshaping markets. Losses mounted, confidence eroded. The same mind that once danced effortlessly with markets now found itself lost in noise. For Marcus, this wasn't just a professional setback. It was deeply personal. In the search for answers, Marcus turned to unconventional paths. He discovered a book claiming that investment decisions could be guided by hearing voices. At first it seemed absurd, but desperation can twist even the sharpest minds. He began to believe. Worse, he began to act. Trades driven by these voices spiraled into ruin. What followed was a descent not measured in dollars, but in sanity. Psychosis took root, leading to repeated institutionalizations. The man who once commanded millions, who stood as a symbol of mastery over uncertainty, now found himself battling the darkest corners of his own mind. For the last 12 years of his life, Marcus withdrew from the world. Isolated and reclusive in Austin, Texas, he lived far from the markets that once defined him, far from the spotlight that had crowned him. His family, his colleagues, and the trading community watched from a distance as the once great trader faded into silence. On March 25, 2023, Michael Marcus's story came to an end. Yet even in death, his legend lives on, whispered in trading rooms where his daring feats are studied and retold. Despite the tragedy, Marcus's teachings endure. He believed courage was the heart of trading, that to hold positions required nerve, not just numbers. He emphasized risk management, the ability to withstand losses without losing direction. Above all, he reminded traders that success comes not from knowing everything, but from knowing when an idea has already been absorbed by the market. His approach, combining charts, fundamentals, and behavioral cues, remains timeless. Traders today still echo his philosophy, applying it not just to commodities, but to stocks, currencies, and crypto alike. Michael Marcus's life was never a straight line. It was a jagged chart of soaring peaks and heartbreaking valleys. He showed the world the heights that boldness and discipline could achieve, and also the abyss into which the human mind can fall. His story is not just about money. It is about ambition, curiosity, resilience, and vulnerability. It reminds us that greatness carries its burdens, that even titans can break, and that the markets reward brilliance but never show mercy. For every trader who dreams of fortune, the name Michael Marcus serves both as inspiration and as caution. He proved that with determination and insight, a man can turn thousands into millions. Yet his downfall whispers another truth. Success in markets may be vast, but it cannot shield the soul from its own storms. The tale of Michael Marcus lingers like an unfinished symphony, beautiful, powerful, but ultimately unresolved. He leaves behind lessons etched in both triumph and tragedy, reminding us that the markets are not just about numbers. They are about people, and the fragile balance between genius and vulnerability. And somewhere in those lessons lies the enduring spark of Michael Marcus, a trader who reached unimaginable heights, fell into haunting depths, and left behind a legacy that will forever stir both admiration and sorrow.